now to introduce Hayden Morgan, who is the convener of our working group #1. Hayden.
Thank you, Peter. Hello there, it's Hayden Morgan here. I'm absolutely delighted to be with you today to talk through the main standard which we're developing, which is ISO 32210. Just a little bit of background of myself. I've been working in sort of sustainable finance for almost 25 years now, and helped set up the UK Green Investment Bank and the framework, the Green Assessment, Monitoring and Reporting Framework there at the Green Investment Bank. And I was invited to become convener of the new Sustainable Finance Framework Standard, which is what I'm going to talk through today. So we will talk through some of the market need and demand for this. We've already touched a little bit on that. Talk through some of the aims that we want to achieve for the standard, the actual scope of the standard. I'll go through the main structure of it to give an impression of how we are looking to structure the different stages of this, and also the different sections and how it can be applied in terms of the practical application. I'll also touch on some of the key areas which is under development, which are the real sort of challenging areas, which is really at the forefront of global best practice here, because we want really this standard to be additional to what else is out there in the market, and these are the real sort of differentiation areas that we're looking to bring. And then I'll briefly touch on some of the benefits. I mean, we've already talked today about impact, we've talked about harmonization, about market good practice. This is all coming together here in this framework standard. So next slide, please. So just touching on the market demand, we've already touched on a lot of the different initiatives already in practice at the moment throughout the globe. We're not looking to compete with any of these initiatives, as we've discussed. We're looking to complement and harmonize this current proliferation of guides, protocols, pledges, regulations. To Dr. Ma's point around greenwashing, there is variable practice out there, and there's various opaque market definitions as what constitutes sustainable finance. We're looking to reduce the confusion. We're looking to increase transparency and robustness, working on all this good practice that's already out there, and like I say, really trying to bring together the harmonization approach of all these initiatives. If we can maybe move on to the next slide. So what we're trying to do here is support financial organizations. So the framework standard is aimed, as it describes, at financial organizations themselves. And we're looking to help them reduce their carbon footprints, but crucially make the organizations more resilient and help them transition to a more sustainable activities and outputs. We're really looking to aim this at the mainstream. So financial organizations across all their different activities, across different asset classes, and as has also been said, across different regions as well. Like I say, we're looking to increase market confidence. We're looking to mobilize private sector finance to more sustainable activities. We're looking to increase coherence, consolidate, that word again, harmonize, but also extend reach and best practice within the global activities. So there's a real demand for this standard that we're trying to develop now. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, and a word that's also been mentioned, I think, increasingly is around relevance. We need to develop something which is going to be relevant for financial organizations, which can be additive to the sector. We want to be able to have real world outcomes. This is, again, another crucial aim of what we're trying to do here, is mobilize private sector finance to more sustainable activities to increase the positive impact and reduce the negative impact. And again, that's one of the key goals that we're looking to do in developing this standard. Next slide, please. So what we're trying to do here is help provide guidance, practical best practice terminology, principle driven implementation for financial organizations. We're looking to actually integrate sustainability principles, so that's environmental, social, governance, economic activities in the investment, in the lending, in the asset management, and also the fund management. We're looking to support organizations to help them develop new sustainable asset classes and financial instruments. We've talked a little bit about green bonds, green loans. If we're gonna reach the ambition of the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals, we need more instruments, we need more tools, we need to develop innovative practices which don't exist at the moment. And again, this is the standard that's going to help financial organizations to be able to do that. We also want to demonstrate alignment with, for example, the decarbonisation pathways, the transition pathways that are required throughout the whole financial sector in order for them, in order for us to meet these goals and ambitions on a global basis. And to Dr. Ma's point, we want to increase disclosure, we want to increase transparency and reporting. And again, the standard has elements of this to be able to allow financial organizations to do that. So let's just now, on the next slide, go through the actual structure of the standard itself. So this is what we've been working on since about November last year. So I've been leading a group of international experts now, and it's an absolute privilege to have some of them on the call today to hear from what they're doing. But we've been working through the key elements around the principles here. So I'll just go through the principles. Each of these is guidance of how financial organizations can implement each of these sections. So governance and culture, absolutely crucial from the top, how the organization is led right from the board. So CEO commitment, board level commitment, right the way down. Strategy alignment and objectives. How can the organization integrate sustainability into its long-term strategy, its long-term objectives? How can it integrate into incentivization for compensation, for example, for senior managers? Crucially, impact assessment. This is reduction of negative impact, but enhancement of positive impact. Absolutely crucial to implementation of the standard itself. Of course, stakeholder engagement, how stakeholders can influence the organization itself, but noting also that financial organizations have huge impact, economic, social, environmental, on other stakeholders. So getting feedback and making sure that the strategy is completely aligned with what stakeholders are looking for. Again, monitoring and measurement. What is the performance of the organization right down to the asset level? So throughout the whole value chain, monitoring and measuring the environmental, social and governance impacts. And then allied to that, how can the organization report its impact and in a transparent basis? There's guidance of the standard which shows organizations best practice there. And an element of many ISO standards is this concept of continual improvement. How can organizations continually enhance their processes? So they're the key principles in section 4. Section 5 of the standard shows you how to implement that. And again, if you want to get involved, I would absolutely extend the invitation. This is where we are really working to show best practice, collaboration around global initiatives, and this is where we want the tools to be able to implement that. That goes in section 5, so I'd absolutely welcome further input on that. Maybe just moving on to the next slide, just to show the sort of conceptual structure of this. These are the different principles here. You've got the strategy in there, absolutely the heart of this, and just to show the iterative nature of this. This is a continual transitional process, and the outputs on the right there show the increased ambition of transition to sustainability. So this is what we really want to achieve here, real world outcomes. And this diagram itself is actually used in the standard, and it's at the heart of trying to describe all these elements here and the integrated and iterative nature of these standards. So next slide, please. In terms of what we're trying to do in terms of application, we want this to be used. We want to mainstream sustainable finance. So this is a good practice manual. Organizations can select elements that they want to implement. They can pick and choose different tools. They can allow innovation and development of new financial products and services which are aligned with the principles. It's got, like I say, implementation guidance in there as well. And it's got an extensive bibliography and references to other initiatives. We're not trying to reset the or reinvent the wheel, but we are referring to other existing good practice in there, and we recognize there's a whole bunch of work being done already, which is going to be really useful for organizations to refer to. So just before I wrap up, next slide, if we could just talk through some of the areas, the key areas under development. And this is the work which is really challenging, and the working group is you know, really at the forefront of developing some of these activities, and specifically around the impact assessment. It's absolutely crucial that we identify and mitigate negative impacts, but we accentuate and really build on the positive impacts. So how do we go about doing that? Risk is obviously a key one for financial organizations. Materiality, again, absolutely crucial. The different actors and stakeholders that have impact and can influence the organization. And also, as I mentioned, implementation guidance. This is a really crucial point that I really invite additional input from people on the call as well to get involved. Absolutely extend the invitation there. We want more practitioners from the financial sector to really get involved that have got the experience there of implementing this elsewhere. So just on the last slide on my section before I hand over, just to go through the benefits. One of the key really positive aspects of the ISO process is it's consensus driven. So it's global practitioners and experts really driving the consensus that achieves the standard. And this is absolutely crucial to the the quality of the standards and the outputs that is being derived here from the global experts. The standard itself is designed to be applicable across the financial sector. It's got practical implementation. It allows for continual improvement and raises ambition throughout the organization as it transitions towards sustainability. And it has real world outcomes and impact. And this is really, actually the heart of what we're trying to do here, make the world a better place.